A lot of the time when the culture is happening, many people don't notice. But when you look back at it, you realize just how ridiculous it was and how difficult it is to believe that people genuinely believed and bought it. Third wave feminism is a great example. People literally believe that we live in a rape culture, that the patriarchy is out there conspiring to subjugate women, that all the fathers are joining together in a dark room with their brothers and sons and they're conspiring how they can subjugate their wives and daughters. Like complete nonsense. But for some reason, it was more than nonsense, it was mainstream. And the moral panic went to such lengths as to believe that one of the worst places in the United States, I would even say one of the worst places in the world where 1 out of 5 women are assaulted, happened to be liberal campuses. Yes, the bastion of progressive ideology and social justice is where the worst abuses happened. And because of that, universities demanded more power. And one of the power that they demanded was that in the case of a rape allegation, you shouldn't actually have a professional, a detective, someone that is skilled into uncovering the truth. No, it should be up to the university professors to have a committee and uncover what transpired. Because, of course, no one is, I suppose, better equipped at investigating criminal activity than the university professor that talks about the patriarchy. And of course, due to this, a lot of abuses happened. I remember one of the worst abuses that I have ever seen. I forgot the name of it, but it was about a professor, which was a woman, who fell in love with a jock. And they had relationship together, but afterwards she felt bad about it. Like she didn't, it's not that she didn't consent, it's just that like she regretted the thing, and she talked about it to one of her colleagues. So her colleagues goes to the committee and files a complaint on her behalf, and the jock is now getting investigated. But what turns out is like the girl, the initial professor, says like, hold on a little bit. Like, yes, we had sex. Yes, I feel bad about it, but it wasn't rape. Like, it wasn't non-consensual. And the committee didn't care. They fired the jock. They punished the jock anyway. And they basically said something like, oh, well, even if you say you weren't, it's still constraint. We still consider that this is not okay, blah, blah, blah. So this is what was happening at the time. Now it seems that the wheels of justice are turning very slowly because usually these lawsuits happen to last for at least 5 years before we can see the results. But fortunately, we are noticing a couple of results popping up. So as you can see here, a former Yale student acquitted of rape in 2018 has been cleared to sue his accuser. So the former Yale student can sue his accuser for defamation over statements she made during a school hearing. And this is where is the funny part, right? It's due to the fact that these hearings aren't judicial, that they're not like an official court proceeding where you get a lawyer and they get a lawyer and you can cross-examine your witness. Because of that, the rules of the court don't apply. So normally, the accuser couldn't be sued for defamation. But because this wasn't a court proceeding and this happened outside of the courtroom, he can now sue for a defamation. So he already got $110 million lawsuit pending against the Ivy League institution. And Khan has been fighting to bring his accuser, a fellow student, into the suit over a 2018 university hearing that eventually resulted in his expulsion. Like basically the way it works is that if I accuse you of a crime and I sue you for it, that is not defamation. You can't sue me over defamation for it. But this is not what happened. She didn't accuse him of a crime. She went to the university. She went to the professors. And that accusation can actually be brought in court. So Connecticut's high order granted Khan's request. And the court ruled that the accuser shouldn't receive qualified immunity from her school testimony due to the fact that immunity protects people from being sued for statements they make in judicial cases or quasi-judicial cases. And as I pointed out earlier, this is not just a technicality. the way that these universities were conducting their investigation has absolutely nothing to do with justice. The person wasn't allowed to cross-examine the accuser, and as we get to see here, this is exactly what the judge says, that Khan wasn't given the opportunity to cross-examine the accuser, which means that someone can make an accusation against you and say that they got assaulted, and even though you have an alibi, even though you can say, well, actually, that's impossible, I wasn't even in the city when that happened, you can't actually ask that person any follow-ups because you're not allowed the opportunity to cross-examine. So for the absolute immunity to apply under Connecticut law, the judge says that the fundamental fairness requires meaningful cross-examination in the proceedings. During the hearing, Khan's team listened to the woman's testimony from a separate room and never got the opportunity to question her. This is another interesting thing, right? Like here in Europe, in the cases of rape, I think even in my country, they will say that due to like the emotional burden, it's not fair for the person accusing to be to be in the same room with the person that she accused, right? So like, if your daughter has been a victim of rape, right? Like the institution says that she shouldn't be in the same room with the person that molested her. I understand that the Americans do it differently. However, even in my country, okay, you can't be in the room with the person that molested you, but the lawyers of that person can still ask you follow-ups, can still ask you questions. So even if, like, you're not in the same room with let's say, the person that actually did it, in order to have a free and just trial, you still need to have to answer questions, and you still need to explain and go through the details of how it happened. So apparently Khan's team listened to the woman's testimony from a separate room, never got the opportunity to question her. The court ruling said that this left the defense attorney to act as a potted plant. The court also said that Yale hearing couldn't be considered quasi-judicial because it didn't make the woman testify under oath and didn't provide Khan's side with a transcript of the testimony. By the way, this whole thing with testifying under oath, some people may think that is just a formality. And in reality, like, if you make a Marxist or a left-leaning person or an atheist to testify under oath, like, obviously, you know, the oath itself doesn't hold any power. However, you do commit perjury. So it makes the person aware that if they lie and they're caught lying, they can go to prison. So this is why it's important to have the accuser and any type of witnesses. It's like, yeah, no, like if you're actually that sure it happened, then testify under oath. So Khan, a native of Afghanistan, started attending the school on a full scholarship in 2012 and majored in neuroscience. His education was completely derailed after the rape allegation, which the 21-year-old acquaintance claimed that he took advantage of her when she was extremely drunk following an off-campus Halloween costume party. However, the lawyers argued that the encounter was consensual, and Khan was suspended from the class with the allegation and returned to school after. Right, so the thing is, like, I do understand that there are certain crimes which are extremely difficult to prove. Bribery, for instance, is very difficult to prove because it usually involves only two people. So, since we're talking about the university, imagine the following scenario. I would accuse a professor for taking bribes from a fellow student in order to give that student the questions for tomorrow's exam. Would it be fair if the professor gets suspended immediately and people automatically believe me? And not only that, but there's no way for him to cross-examine me. I don't have to provide any evidence. I don't have to show anything. It's just like the simple accusation would be enough to ruin this professor's career. Would be really fucked up, wouldn't it? I am willing to bet that these universities would not treat such a case the same way that they're dealing with the students. The same standard of expectation that they have for their male students is not the same standard of expectation that they would have for themselves, especially when it comes to other crimes. I mean, professors taking bribes in order to give good grades at exams is something that happens all around the world. And it's very difficult to prove. It's almost impossible to prove. Like, you know, if a teacher meets with a student after class and he just shakes hands and passes him, like, I don't know, like a pack of cigarettes containing $2,000, and the teacher goes like, okay, well, maybe you should study on this tomorrow. How do you prove that? I mean, there's It's just two people, right? Like, none of them has the interest of fucking the other one over. The student has no interest in admitting that he offered the bribe. The professor has no reason in admitting that he took one. But, like, I, for example, that's a classmate, and I'm now being disadvantaged that other people are getting higher grades and I'm not. I can simply say, well, there's no way that this guy got an A+. I mean, I speak with him all the time. I know that he genuinely doesn't even understand the basics of the subject matter. How the fuck did he get an A+? Right, so if I were to make that complaint, would it be fair that automatically the teacher is under guilt and he is automatically accused of that? And not only that, but they expect that he wouldn't be able to sue me for defamation in return. Isn't that a little bit fucked up? I would say it's just a little bit fucked up. Let me know what you guys think, though. And as usual, I will see you in the comment section. Take care.